PlayStation 2 wasn't just a good console, it was the console for a generation. It had the biggest library of games ever. And sure, we all know the legends: GTA San Andreas, God of War, Metal Gear Solid 3. But buried in that massive library are some real gems that barely get talked about anymore. Today, I'm digging up 10 underrated PS2 games you might have missed, and explaining why they're absolutely worth remembering. So grab your controller, let's go back. At number 10, Kaya Dark Lineage. This one's pure early 2000s platformer energy. Colorful world, fantasy creatures, and tight controls. You play Kaya, pulled into a parallel world full of danger and strange enemies called natives. You're not just jumping platforms, you're also punching wolves in the face. It's part platformer, part brawler, and way more fun than it had any right to be. Definitely one of the better deep cuts in the genre. Coming in at number 9, PsyOps: The Mindgate Conspiracy. A third-person shooter but with a twist. You've got full-on psychic powers. Throw enemies into walls, mind control them into shooting their own squad. Light it on fire. It's chaotic in the best way. It was clunky at times, but it had soul. And it honestly did telekinesis better than most modern games. A must-play for fans of weird action games. Coming in at number 8, Motor Tracks. Now here's one that I didn't expect. Tony Hawk but with dirt bikes, and no, that's not a diss. This motocross racer for Activision was surprisingly smooth, had solid tricks and customization, and nailed that early 2000s extreme sport vibe. It had a full career mode, unlockables, sponsorships. It even felt like it respected your time. Maybe it had a flash of Max Unleashed or an ATV off-road theory, but Motor Tracks earned its spot in the dirt.
If you think you're ready to compete, now's your chance to prove it. You're on a team and all set to take your first steps in real competition. Here's your PDA. It lets you keep in contact with your team, sponsors, and choose what events you want to do.
Coming in at number 7, Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. An Egyptian-themed action-adventure that split the gameplay in two. You play as Sphinx for combat and exploration, and the Mummy for puzzle solving. The Mummy segments, by the way, are gold. They're funny, creative, and surprisingly clever. The game has Zelda vibes, great visuals, and a solid story. It didn't get the love it deserved back then, but it's a cult classic now. Coming in at number 6, Urban Chaos Riot Response. Urban Chaos Riot Response is one of the most intense first-person shooters on the PS2 period. You play as a riot cop, clearing gangs out of a city under siege, and this game did not hold back. Shields, axes, Molotovs flying, it's gritty, violent, and fast-paced. The real kicker? It was made by Rocksteady, the same team that would later make the Batman Arkham games. Yeah, this was their warm-up, and it slaps.
Where are you going? I can pretty much guarantee he'll kill the hostage. He's run out of ammo.
Coming in at number 5, Ring of Red. Time for a little strategy game. Ring of Red is set in an alternate history version of post-World War II Japan, but with giant diesel-powered mechs. Turn-based movement meets real-time shooting. It's a strange combo, but it works. The mechs feel weighty, the strategy is satisfying, and the world building is surprisingly deep. If you love tactical games with unique lore, this is a PS2 deep cut worth discovering. And number 4, Justice League Heroes. Think Justice League Heroes is just a cheap superhero tie-in? Think again. This top-down action RPG was made by Snowblind Studios, the same devs behind Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. That means it had solid mechanics, satisfying powers, and couch co-op that actually felt fun. Superman, Batman, Zatanna, The Flash, all playable with upgrades and team synergy. It didn't have Marvel Ultimate Alliance polish, but for DC fans, this was gold.
Watch your back. They're everywhere. Super.
At number 3, Mark of Kree. Mark of Kree looks like a cartoon, but it hits like a samurai movie. You play as Raoul, a warrior with a massive sword, in a stylized Polynesian-inspired world. It had a unique targeting system where you could lock onto multiple enemies and chain brutal finishers. The combat was slick, the story was darker than you'd expect, and the art style? Still gorgeous. A brutal beauty that deserved more attention. Next up, Dark Watch, a vampire cowboy FPS. Yeah, you heard it right. You're a gunslinger turned vampire, hunting demons across the Wild West. You've got revolvers, crossbows, and supernatural powers. The tone is gothic, gritty, and surprisingly stylish. It didn't get a sequel, but it should have. One of the most creative settings on the console. And closing it out with something different. Disaster Report. It's not about combat, it's about survival. You're stuck in a collapsing city after an earthquake. You have to find water, stay safe, and help or ignore other survivors. It's emotional, tense, and unlike anything else from the era. One of the earliest examples of a survival game focused on realism, way ahead of its time. And there you have it, 10 underrated PS2 games that don't get talked about enough. From extreme sports to tactical mech battles, vampire westerns to Egyptian adventures, the PS2 had incredible variety that still holds up today. If you've played any of these, let me know in the comments, or share your own favorite PS2 hidden gems I might have missed. If you enjoyed this dive into PS2 nostalgia, drop a like, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!